Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business, and then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a topic or two. If you're not new here, you know every week we have a new poll, and today's poll is, if I can click the button, there we go. What feels hardest about audiobook narration for you right now? Because we're talking about how hard audiobook production can be. And if it feels harder than you expected it to be, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just means that, especially for my beginners, it just means that you weren't quite expecting what it took to produce an audiobook. There's a lot more to it than we are sold on social media. And I just saw another one of those videos popped up on my YouTube feed about, don't worry about the audiobook equipment, just use your phone. And it's stuff like that that makes us go, yeah, I want to do that. Because maybe it was a dream of yours, right? Here we go with the tangent. Maybe it was a dream of yours to be an audiobook narrator or a voice actor or something, right? And then you see this person on YouTube or whatever social media platform you see them on, and they're like, yeah, you don't need any of that stuff. You can make $400 an hour just using your voice. And you are sold. And that's no fault of your own. It sounds amazing, right? But once you start to do the research, once you're in the research phase, and then you realize there is a lot more to it, and these people lied to me. I do need equipment. I do need a little bit of practice and or training, preferably, right? At least a community. I need to know what I need to do. What does it take? What is involved? And no one really tells you that. They just sell you on the dream and then completely, lie to you about it. Okay. I'm stopping right there. All right. So let's check on the poll, because we're talking about basically the roadblocks. Maybe what you didn't realize when you got into this. Again, what is the hardest part for you right now? And I think a lot of us at some point come to a stage where we're either on the verge of burnout, we've completely lost any kind of desire or drive to maybe finish an audiobook because of some reason. You're too tired, you're not feeling good about what you've produced thus far, you're having trouble with consistency. Whatever you're running into right now that's causing you to just want to stop. Or maybe you're just fighting your way through the rest of the book. Whatever it is, please share with us in the comments what that is for you. If it's not something in the poll, if it's something other than what's in the poll, and we'll get through all of this stuff. But I guess it's a lot about mindset and what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your expectations were, what they actually are. What kind of roadblocks are you facing? Let's talk about it, and let's see if we can maybe clear some of those roadblocks for you today. Poll, before I go on another tangent. So far, we have 34 votes. And again, I'll pop that up because it disappeared because I tangent for longer than a minute. What feels hardest about audiobook narration for you right now? 14% of you said staying focused for long sessions, understandable. 31% of you said editing and production work. That is pretty much what I'm referring to there is the post part, right? Narration's done. Now you're in the editing, formatting, mastering phase. 24% of you said consistency across chapters, relatable, and we'll definitely talk about that. And then 33% of you said feeling overwhelmed. Yes, I think I would say that not one person in the chat has not felt overwhelmed when tasked with producing an audiobook. It's a lot. It's a lot more than what we're sold, right? It's a lot more than what we understand it to be when we first start. But as we always say here, it's in the doing that we learn so much more than just watching videos about it or talking to someone about it. You actually have to get in, get your hands dirty, get in there and do the thing, and you'll learn so much more in the doing. And because there are so many different variables from studio to studio, from actor to actor, from equipment to equipment, there's no really easy way of saying, here, just do this, this, and this. There's going to be so many different variable factors across, the hundreds of thousands of us out there that just make it that much harder, right? Because there's going to be, effects racks are going to be different. The effects that you actually need are going to be different. Your style, your pacing. Some people are just naturally, they have those voices that don't have clicks. They don't have to clear their throat. They don't have to, you know what I mean? They just get the copy right away, and they're pretty much one-take wonders. They can do everything cold. And some people need a little bit more time and effort, and that's okay. Whichever person you are, there's really not a wrong way to do it. See, you guys tell me when I'm on a tangent. The only things that really matter in an audiobook production is the client happy? And did it get done correctly? Meaning, are the files formatted appropriately? Do they meet the standards for file formatting? Yes? Okay, great. I did a good job. And is the client happy? Ultimately, those are the only things that really matter. I just want to add this one thing because it just popped into my head. I'm not going to tangent about it. But I think one of the things that stops us dead in our tracks the most is the fear. It's not quite the overwhelm. It's not quite, I don't know what I'm doing, because you can learn what to do, right? But I think the one thing that stops most of us, if not all of us in some way, shape, or form, is the fear. Is what I am doing going to be accepted or received in a positive way? Are people going to like it? Am I going to receive negative feedback? Right? And you have to remember, and I'm almost done, I promise. But you have to remember that you cannot, as a person, as a human being on this planet, voice actor or not, you cannot please 100% of the people all 100% of the time. You just can't. So don't worry about what the listeners say. There's going to be trolls everywhere just because they're, trolls be trolling. That is their life purpose, is just to anonymously say mean things to people. If you see some of the comments on some of my videos, that people are just mean because they can be. Maybe because they just want to be heard. I don't know. Maybe they need to go touch grass. I don't know what it is. But you can't worry about those people because they have nothing to do with you. They're just who they are because they're just mean people. So don't worry about them. Is the client happy? Yes. All right, goal achieved. And that's one of the reasons I keep picking up my coffee and not drinking it. Maybe that's my problem. I need less coffee. But you can't get hung up on what people are going to think. And that's another reason, that's what I was going to say. And that's another reason why I don't read reviews. I just don't. Because ultimately my goal was achieved. The client's happy. I don't need to hear. I'm seeing some of your comments. You don't need to hear what other people are thinking. Right? You don't need to read that stuff. I don't. Just because it's a crapshoot, right? It's like a 50-50 chance if people are going to be saying mean things just to say mean things, or if it's, positive things. Yeah. Okay, I'm stopping. Okay. So what we don't understand in the beginning is that you're not just recording audiobooks, right? You're not just reading out loud and recording it. An audiobook narrator actually has 3 different roles. One is you are the performer. Even if it's nonfiction, you're still going to be performing. You are using your own perspectives and life experience, yes, in any book that you're doing. But if it's just say if it's nonfiction, you are the author, essentially, in most cases, a teacher, an educator, a person of knowledge that is sharing that knowledge with the listener or reader. So you are performing in just about any kind of book in many different ways. You are also an audio engineer. You have to know your DAW well enough. You don't have to know it inside and out. You don't have to be a Caesar. For those of you who know who Caesar is, you don't have to be a Caesar. You'd have to know enough about your DAW to do the basic things that you need to know for audiobook production, which is record, stop. You know how to use the punch and roll function if that's how you're recording. You need to know how to delete. You need to know how to, paste in. You need to know how to manipulate your effects if your effects rack is in your DAW. And that, I think, is the most time-consuming thing because, again, variables. So having an audio engineer friend that could help you out with that will save you a whole lot of time. But those are just really the basic things you need to know about the audio production side, right? Just you need to know it well enough to do that. You don't have to know everything. And then you're also a project manager, right? Because you are tasked with the production of an audiobook. And as we have said in my last 10-minute tangent, it takes time. It takes time. And it takes you, you have to know how to chunk it down into small, manageable chunks to get it done. I need to record 3 chapters on Monday. I need to edit these 2 chapters on Tuesday and then re-record this chapter because maybe allergies got me and my voice was a little bit raspy or whatever. So you have to keep track of these things to be able to get it finished by a certain date. That's project management, right? And then even if this is a royalty share book, then you have another job, which is marketing. You want to know how to market that audiobook so you and the author, because you're sharing the profits of each sale, how to promote that book and make yourself, both of you, more money, right? There's a lot more to it than just sitting in your jammies recording a book out loud and, with your iPhone. There's a lot more to it than that. You're not just reading a book, you're producing one, right? All right, so why it takes so long? The general rule of thumb for producing an audiobook, and I haven't said this in a while, but most of you probably know this, but for those of you that are new, the general rule of thumb, if you're trying to figure out how long an audiobook is going to take you to produce, once you take the total word count, divide the total word count by 9,300, that's basically the word count that is in a finished hour. And it might be more, it might be less. Everybody's got a different narration pace. But 9,300 is a good kind of a common area. And then whatever that is, so let's just say we had 50,000 words. We divide that by 9,300, and I think that comes up to, and I don't do math, but it's just under 5 hours. So it's probably like, 4.8 hours, right? So if it's going to take 4.8, if it's going to be a 4.8 finished hour book, so you can expect to double the narration time, especially if you're just getting started. It's going to take you longer to produce your first few audiobooks than it will later on. So if you're a couple in and it's still taking a while, be patient. You will start to streamline your processes and it will get faster. But generally, it's going to take you twice as long to narrate the book because you're going to have retakes, you're going to have breaks, you're going to have times where you're coughing or clearing your throat or taking a sip of water, taking a restroom break, right? And then once you move to the editing phase, depending on your skill level, and if you're just starting, you can expect to spend 3 to 5 hours per finished hour editing that book, because you're still learning. You're still learning how to utilize your DAW. You're still using how to make the effects sound the way that you want them to. You're still learning how to format files appropriately. It takes a little bit of time. So in essence, that 4.8 hour book finished, 4.8 hours, could take you, what, 15, 16, 20 hours to produce, right? Roughly. Again, I don't do math in my head because I don't do math in my head. So if you're trying to figure out how long a book is going to take you, that's basically a rule of thumb. It's going to take you twice the amount of narration time, and then 3 to 5 hours per finished hour to edit and format and master that book. So that's what you can expect. But that's typical. It might be a little less and it might be a little bit more. But as you continue to produce audiobooks, you'll start to find ways to streamline your process. You'll start to learn new things that enable you to streamline your process. These are all things that you won't know unless you get in there and do it and discover these things for yourself. Or hear other people talking about it when you join groups. If you're in Launchpad, I'm sure you guys are way ahead of the curve than I was, even, because I was just trying to figure everything out on my own. Because I'm hard-headed and stubborn. But anywho, so the recording, editing, and then also in that editing time, I forgot to mention pickups or proofing, right? So if you're listening through, you're doing your editing and you totally botch the pronunciation of a word, there's also going to be re-record time for re-recording that sentence, right? So that's another reason why I say 3 to 5 hours per finished hour, because you have all of that involved. I forgot to mention that. Let's see. I'm just looking at my notes here. I think regarding the staying focused for long sessions answer on the poll was because most of us don't start out a career. Like, your first career in life is not a voice actor, audiobook narrator. Most of us have worked in the corporate world, right? Preceding our audiobook careers. So we're sort of programmed to rely on people telling us what to do. We don't have the CEO mindset yet, right? We don't have the business owner mindset that we control the schedule, that we have to rely on ourselves to figure out the timing of things and what to do when. We're used to being told what to do. So that transition was tough for me too, because once I came full-time or became full-time, I would sit in my studio and go, okay, what are we doing today? I don't know. What are we doing today? And it wasn't until I got this agenda book that I'm always talking about. Have a daily planner, have a notebook, have something in front of you that tells you what to do every day. So as soon as you get an audiobook, start to figure out, okay, how long is this going to take me? How much work can I do in the time I have available to do it in? And write it down in your agenda book. So on Monday, I'm going to record chapters 1 through 3, and then on Tuesday, I'm going to edit chapters 1 through 3. Tell yourself what you're going to be doing. That helps tremendously. Another reason why it takes so long is because distractions. We don't have anybody telling us what to do or watching over our shoulder anymore, so we can scroll through Instagram if we want to. Or maybe you're just feeling lonely because this is a very isolating job. You're in a room, a padded room, talking to yourself all day, right? It's very isolating. So another important reason to be in groups, to have people to reach out to talk to check in on you, right? Make friends. You'll make a lot of friends online if you just join the groups and get involved, like Launchpad. Also, you allow yourself to criticize yourself. You allow yourself to, you're constantly like self-monitoring, right? Did I just say that right? Oh God, my voice doesn't sound the same as it did yesterday. I'm going to have to re-record this whole chapter. When in reality, it wasn't that different, and you probably didn't need to do that. right? There's a lot of stuff that we can allow. Our brains will sort of just like fill in gaps and tell us lies because there's no one else to tell us otherwise, right? So staying focused on the task at hand is really important. It was for me anyway, and that's another reason why the daily planner came in handy, because it kept me focused on what needed to be done. And it didn't allow myself. I didn't allow myself to just make up stuff, right? I had a task, I had a goal, I had to get that done. So it kept me focused in that way. But then also taking breaks is very important too. 2 to 3 hours max is what I tell myself in the studio. 2 to 3 hours max, then I get up, move around, clear my head. Those are the times where if I want to just see what's going on Instagram, I could do that, right? But when I'm in here, it's what I'm doing is what is on this agenda book. So that's helped me tremendously. Performance pressure. I think a lot of us tend to underdo it when we're performing. That we are just kind of thinking that we are reading words on a page. We're just narrating a book instead of telling a story, instead of being fully engaged in the story and allowing that engagement to come through. That is really the acting in voice acting, as we say, right? So not allowing ourselves to just be monotone, like I'm just reading words on a script because I'm just, making a book audible. Instead of really just getting in there and giving it some engagement, right? I think a lot of times we tend to underdo it because we're just trying to get it done and we're not really allowing ourselves the time and space to really perform it. And that's hard to do over long periods of time. That just comes with practice and encouragement, I think. Getting feedback from at least peers to know that we're on the right track, that we're doing it appropriate, that we're giving it enough is important. Because when we read for ourselves, when we're reading for leisure, ourselves and a book, we read really fast. And that's another thing, is that we read really fast when we're reading ourselves. So we have to intentionally slow down and really allow those words to breathe as we're reading them out loud. Giving it more, as we say in Launchpad, 50% more emotion than we would normally is what it's going to take. Did I just totally get off track again? Squirrel. I think another big one is learning the technical standards. And I think that, again, was probably one of the harder things for me because we're just, we're not born with the knowledge of everything DAW related. Obviously, we don't know what ACX standards are. I feel a lot of people are giving themselves a hard time. They're being down on themselves for not, doing this or meeting that standard or doing. It just takes practice. It just takes someone to maybe guide you and say, hey, don't do that. Just do this, this, and this, and you're good, right? Or we just tend to overthink it too much. So meeting ACX's standards, I can tell you for a fact, for me, I was making it much more difficult than it needed to be because I was, again, striving for that perfection, right? I was striving for perfect. It needed to match this number perfectly, and this number perfectly, when it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. Because I think one thing, just to note really quickly while we're on the topic, the peak amplitude, in my head, I thought it had to be exactly -3 for the ACX standard. That anything above or below, anything other than -3 was wrong. And that's not true. It's a threshold. You cannot exceed it. You can be below it. Of course, be below it. You just cannot exceed it. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, okay. So I was being really hard on myself. I was just striving for perfection when it didn't need to be that number. It's just a threshold. It's not the target. Same thing with RMS. You're given a range because Your voice isn't always going to be the same volume. You don't want it to be. You don't want it to be monotone and flat. You want it to have some dynamic to it. So that's why they give you a range for RMS. Your noise floor, again, another threshold. You can be below -60. I wouldn't be too far below it because it might be mistaken as silence, but you cannot surpass it. You cannot have a noise floor that's over -60. It's just a threshold. You don't have to meet it exactly. Right? I mean, I made it so much harder on myself than it needed to be. But I do think that is something that you might need to get someone to help you with. So you're not spending so much time overthinking it and doing more damage than you need to your audio files. Let's see. That was another note. So in the beginning, I think another thing we think about is I'm too slow. This is taking too long. There's something wrong. It's because I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. Is this really cut out for me? Is this ever going to get faster? Am I ever going to speed up this process? I'm not good enough. This shouldn't be this hard. All of those are wrong. It is that hard, as we just outlined, or I just spent the last 30 minutes pontificating on. It's a lot more work than we realize when we get into it. So stop being so damn hard on yourself. It does take time. It's going to take the amount of time that it's going to take. So stop being hard on yourself if it's not a fast process. It will be at some point. It'll be faster, for sure, but maybe not right out the gate. And don't be hard on yourself. Stop being hard on yourselves. Give yourself some grace. Jeez, you guys are so hard on yourselves. All right. If I didn't touch on everything, if you have a question, there's a ton of comments, 134 comments, Jesus. All right, so let's get over to the comments and see if I can find some questions, because I just spent the last half hour just verbally vomiting all over you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, I saw a couple of things pop up here. Ryan is a new member. Welcome to the I Brought Donuts Club. You get to see all my new content before everybody else does. Welcome. And you also get fancy emojis in the chat. You also get, what was the other thing? Oh, you get the little donut badge that changes color with how long you stay on. I'm so sad it doesn't show up on StreamYard, though. That's a bummer. I did see something else, though. I would like to see the little donuts. Ren, thank you for the super chat, Ren. I appreciate that. Ren asks, hi, trying to schedule my life around my VO goals. How long should it take on average? I know everyone is a little bit different to record a chapter. That is a very loaded question, Ren, because in my experience, and I'm close to about 300 audiobooks at this point, there could be a chapter that's a minute long. Sometimes the first chapter is like a paragraph, and sometimes a chapter is 2 hours long. It's going to take however long it takes. I would say a happy medium is chapters are somewhere between a half an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe a half an hour is average, I think, finished. So for every chapter, if it is about half hour finished, I would expect to spend maybe a couple hours on it when you're just getting started, to record it, edit it, format it. But just remember, there's nothing wrong with that. You're learning, you're growing, you're gaining experience. My ratio right now is about 2 to 1. Maybe just a little bit less. Like it takes me 2 hours for every finished hour. Maybe it's like an hour and a half to every hour. But I've been doing this for 8 years at this point. So I've learned to streamline my processes. But when I first started, my ratio was probably easily 6-7 to 1. Because I was learning. I didn't know what I didn't even know. So it does take time. So it's going to take, Ren, to answer your question, as long as it takes. But there really isn't a way to say for sure because there's just variables, right? I wanted to see if there was any other notifications that popped up. But thank you so much for the super chat. All right, let's get up to, there's so many comments. Sean was here. Hey, Sean, good morning from all from Nashville. Narration definitely has challenges you don't realize until you start doing it, but at least it's rewarding. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see if I can find some questions. Let's see, I see you in there, Caesar. Caesar says, learn from me. Keep the fanciful characterful opinionated statement mics for solo narration if you have them, and the linear, neutral, flexible mics for working with other narrators. If everything that Caesar just said either scared you or confused you, don't worry about it. Caesar has a whole stable of microphones, and he's got gas, gear acquisition syndrome. So he's got many mics. But for those of you watching that only have one, not a problem. I've had my 416 for about 7 years. It's the only mic I need. I do have backups, but I use this one for everything, every day, for the last 7 years. Let's see. Brian says, I don't know if any of these poll choices really words my problem. My problem is I can't get things done fast enough. Well, what is your definition of fast? Why does it need to be fast? I would say, don't strive for fast. Yes, speed is king. I see that one. But in an audiobook, it's long-form narration. It's performative long-form narration, so it shouldn't be fast. But if you're worried about the ROI on your time investment, if it's a per finished hour book, and let's just say you're sitting at $50 per finished hour and you want to get it done quicker, so you're not working for $5 an hour, basically, then I would say increase your prices. If it's a royalty share book and you don't really foresee that much of a payoff with it, then don't choose that book. Choose something else that's going to do better, return-wise, income-wise. But audiobooks really shouldn't be fast. Let's see. Ken says, and greetings all from a suddenly, maybe finally, real springtime in Alberta. Yeah, spring just kind of exploded here in the desert, too. Pollen is everywhere. Allergies are abloom. Ken, here's a question from Ken. Anyone else having a book waiting for ACX approval past the 10 working days? At the height of COVID, they were taking about 30 days to be done. About 30 days, somewhere between 10 and 30 days. I think for ACX, they probably spot check with software, and then if a human has to be involved, it'll be involved, or they will be involved. But it's 10 days is usually pretty typical, unless maybe they're just short-staffed again. I mean, it's hard to say. Let's see. Tammy says, I picked consistency because the minute I walk away from the mic for a break or the night, I have a hard time getting back into the voice I was using, as well as the speed and timing. If you're not using your normal speaking voice, if it's like a character or something else, I can understand that. Having clips of the character, like a reference file of clips from character voices, will be super helpful in finding that voice again. But I would say if you're using just your normal voice, your normal speaking voice, try to keep it as normal as possible. And when you say it doesn't match or you're having a hard time getting back to the voice, it doesn't have to be exact. A little bit of variation is expected. And I could probably guarantee you it's probably not noticeable to someone who doesn't know you. Someone just listening and engaged in the book probably won't notice. I recall this was something that came to mind as a good learning opportunity. I think it was Claire Danes who narrated A Handmaid's Tale. I could be mistaken, but what I remember from listening to that audiobook was that the first 2 or 3 chapters, I could clearly hear that she was having an allergy attack or she had a cold, because she was real nasally when she was talking. But then the rest of the book sounded just fine. I noticed it probably because I'm an audiobook narrator and I can pick up on these things. I have a trained ear now. But obviously it wasn't enough to halt the production or to go back and re-record those first few chapters. Because even though I noticed it, maybe someone else didn't notice it as much and was just enjoying the story. Which is ultimately our job, is to engage the listener enough that the small little minute little variances in our voices aren't picked up on. So it might not even be as big of a deal as it is, Tammy. I would get some feedback. If you have somebody that you trust their ear, give them 2 files in question and say, hey, do you hear much of a difference in my voice? Eric, the other night in Launchpad, was like, hey, I have to wait to record or finish these audiobooks because I sound nasally because I'm getting over a cold. And I said, I wouldn't have even noticed it unless you pointed it out or until you pointed it out. So I think we are so hypercritical when we don't need to be. David says, what course do you offer one-on-one voice coaching? I currently feel a bit inadequate regarding my voice. How long is it valid? You mean me personally? I offer 30-minute sessions on my website, voiceoverangela.com, I also have a mentorship program where it's basically a bundle of or a package of either 4 or 12 30-minute sessions, and we can meet once a month. Once every couple months. You just keep them in your pocket and call me up when you need to. So it's kind of up to how long or how much you need, really. But some people would prefer one-on-one time versus group time, like Launchpad, where we have, I think we actually hit a record last Thursday. We had 49 people in Launchpad, and it was awesome. But not everybody feels comfortable in a group setting, so I also have one-on-one sessions too. If that's your bag, if that's makes you more comfortable. What is the name of your Premier Voice Coaching course? Again, I just have a one-on-one sessions or my mentorship program. But then we also have Launchpad, which is if you go to this QR code up in the corner, that is for a VO's Journey Academy, and it's tiered membership. The very base one is Launchpad, and that is our Thursday night sessions. And then Core is our Thursday night sessions plus additional classes. I think we were up to like somewhere between 8 and 12 additional classes every month. And then there's the premier level, which is everything I just mentioned, plus you get to choose an hour of one-on-one coaching with the coach of your choice. And there's 5 of us. There's 5 coaches. So you could choose one of us. Demos for voice actors is not included in membership, but you do have access to help with producing. Yes, we do. We have that option to help you produce a professional demo. Yes. All right, let's see if I can hydrate my lips and find a question. David says, can you recommend an exercise to help reduce throat noise? Small clicks sometimes when breathing in due to throat not being open enough, evidently. I have the same problem. I just have a noisy mouth. I would just say just keep hydrated. Water is going to be your best friend. There really isn't a way to stop from being human right? There's nose sprays like the Simply Saline. I mean, there's all this kind of stuff. There's throat lozenges. There's drinking tea. There's a lot of things that we do as narrators to help sort of clear things out and to make things sound as smooth as possible. But again, don't nitpick the little things that the listener probably isn't even going to notice because you're being hypercritical of your own voice. Because they're engaged in the story, they're not paying attention to every little nose click that happens, right? Most likely. No, Emmeline, no crippling depression. Stop it. Let's see. Oh, yes, here we go. Throat coat tea. That's a good one. If you, I think I have a link to that in my VO gear section on my website, the throat coat tea, or you can find it on Amazon. What is it? What is the name of the company? Medicine something. If you just looked up throat coat tea on Amazon, you'll find it. I think it even comes in like a eucalyptus flavor now instead of the black licorice, if I'm not mistaken. It is really good for soothing the throatal region. Let's see if I can find questions. Wow, I really tangented my way through this hour. Ken says, and then we find Angela and make great strides from the, oh, it's just community, right? Engage in the voiceover community, the audiobook community. There's no other community that I have ever been part of that's like it. It's very supportive and welcoming and warm, and everybody's so willing to help. I will say that there are some groups out there that are a little bit more opinionated than others. But I can tell you that in Launchpad, in our groups, we don't allow that kind of, we don't allow stinking thinking or negativity at all in our groups. And I can tell you I have no problem removing anybody that is negative. We don't allow that at all. So if you're looking for a community, come and join us on Launchpad. I think Core is still half off your first month. Come and give it a try. This channel makes me crazy. I know, me too. I don't know why we do it to ourselves. Donuts, my nemesis. It's my kryptonite. Love me some donuts. Sean says, I chose consistency, but that's between me and another narrator. I got a Southern accent approved for a side character by the rights holder and recorded all their lines. Co-narrator cannot duplicate the accent, and that's going to happen. And that's going to happen. Was that a conversation that was had with the co-narrator beforehand? Did the co-narrator know that they had to have an accent? Because because you all know how I feel about accents. I can't do them. And I'm open and honest about that. I am not good with accents at all. Did the narrator know they had to do accents? Lattes and chocolate glazed donuts. Oh, my God. Oh, my stomach's going to growl. Let's see. Emmeline says, just built a desk and a chair that'll hopefully alleviate some pain and increase focus and productivity. Good for you. Finding the bottlenecks and addressing them is rough. It is, but you're doing it. So give yourself credit for that. You're finding where things are bottlenecking and you're fixing it. You're addressing it. So that's a good thing. It might slow the process down as far as the production process because you're taking a pause to address something that is causing problems, of course. But ultimately, you recognized where that bottleneck was and you're addressing it to free things, to free up the flow. So that's a good thing. Let's see. Voice over Lisa, excuse me. Said, I find the hardest is editing and production. However, I could have chosen all of the above. Yeah, I don't have the option for an all of the above because each day is a new day and I have moments throughout my week that each could apply. Of course. Of course, but there's got to be one that is heavier than the rest. And for me, I think in the beginning, my biggest issue was editing and production, just learning the DAW. That was, and making sure that what I was doing wasn't doing more damage than it needed to, if that makes sense. I think that was the biggest bottleneck for me. That was the biggest hurdle for me, was to stop over processing or over editing or overdoing it when I didn't need to. I think that was my biggest problem. All right, let's look for some questions. We got a lot of comments. Let's see. Review Exchange Group says, I prefer chapters no longer than 20 minutes, 15 minutes even better. Those approaching 30 minutes turn into a bit of a slog, especially when you add in the editing and 2 hours plus is consumed. But chapters are ultimately going to take whatever they take, right? So don't... What's going on with the roosters? Oh, God, you guys, I just caught my eye. What are you guys doing with the roosters in the chat? All right, I'm not looking at that. A chapter's going to take what it takes, right? And if it is longer than what you're comfortable with, then take a break. Take a break. Take a break halfway through. I do. Don't. If your body or your mental state is saying, I can't handle this right now, your best option is to just walk away. Reset, take a breather, walk the dogs, whatever. Get away from it for a minute and then come back fresh. And then get it done. Let's see. Your title of this chat is absolutely correct. It really is harder than people think. And that's not really like any fault of ours. I think most of us, if you've just started this career within the last couple of years, that you probably saw one of those social media posts. It's not a bad thing, right? Because it's just making something more visible if it's out on social media. But it takes longer than what we are sold or what we think. I know my hair is so frizzy today. I'm sorry, it's so distracting to me. It's like frizzed. It's really annoying me. Sorry, squirrel. Okay. I have a story 67 says, it's always a learning process. I can't stand the sound of my own voice as it is, but my older stuff? Ugh, cringy. However, it reminds me that I think I'm moving in the direction of improvement. Of course you are. Of course you are. Because you're still doing it. Of course you're improving. I mean, that's just a natural progression of things. If you're practicing and doing something over and over, you're practicing. So you're going to see improvement. Of course you are. And I don't know anybody that doesn't feel the exact same way. There might be like the odd 1 or 2 people that I've met out of the thousands of voice actors at this point during in the tenure of me being in this industry that just love the sound of their own voice. But 99.9% of us do the same thing. Me, I still can't stand to hear myself in a finished product. Like if someone in my family comes across something I've done and they play it and I'm like, oh, stop, just stop. I don't want to hear it. Same. I'm the same way. I got used to hearing it while editing, but anything like finished out in the world, out in the wild, I can't stand to watch it, listen to it. It just makes me cringe. Cindy says, fear stops me in my tracks. I feel like I'm not good at it no matter what anyone tells me. And that's a completely normal thing. That is called imposter syndrome. And it's hard to kick that feeling. This is one of the reasons why I say whenever you do something, every step forward that you take, no matter how minute or insignificant you may think it is, that's still progress and you should celebrate it. Because when you're having those moments of when you're stopped dead in your tracks for XYZ reason, you can look back and go, oh, yeah, you remember when I got stuck doing that thing and I didn't know how to do it and I almost gave up, but I did it anyway? I'm stronger than that. I'm not gonna just, everything that was in the past that I had to overcome before, I'm not gonna just let that be in vain. I'm gonna make it mean something and keep pushing forward because that's proof. I overcame that. I'm fine. I'm gonna keep going and drive forward because I can. You only can if you tell yourself you can. You have to tell yourself. You have to flick that thing off your shoulder, that imposter syndrome, and say, yes, I can. What are you talking about? Watch me. Well, what's that meme? Hold my beer. Watch me. Let's see. Chris says, when first watching your videos, I was overwhelmed then. LOL. It's better now that I'm learning, but still haven't exactly pulled the trigger just yet. What is stopping you, Chris? Good Lord. Chris, we're going to have words. Animan says, you have mentioned Audiolab and ACX. It's a good indicator of quality, but very limited in what it matters. Yeah, it's an AI software algorithm, spot checker, third-party plugin, however you want to name it. But it's not a person. It's spot checking your file for the standards, right? And it's not 100% accurate 100% of the time, just like humans aren't, right? But if you checked your files in your DAW, which I always say is super important to know enough about your DAW to check your own files and not rely on third-party checkers that aren't accurate 100% of the time. If you know that you checked it, your noise floor is where it's supposed to be, your RMS is in the range it's supposed to be, your peak amplitude is not exceeding the -3 threshold, I'm good, right? I don't want you guys to rely on third-party checkers. Know yourself in your DAW how to do it. That way you don't have to take that 50-50 shot that software lied to you. Right? Check it yourself. Learn how to check it yourself. Sometimes it can. Yep. Let's see. Michaela says, I picked consistency, but for me, it really comes down to stamina. Word. Like how much I can do in a day. I always want to do more, but I don't want to push it. Editing is also pretty daunting. Listen to your body. If you only, and I do this all the time. Like I get up in the morning, I'm like, cool, I got 3 chapters to do. I'm gonna get down to the studio, I'm gonna knock them out. But once I get in here and I sit down, and maybe I'm distracted by something else, or maybe I'm whatever, and I'm like, oh, I really can only do about a chapter today. I only have it in me for, in reality, a chapter. Listen to yourself. Listen to your body. Don't push it, because those 2 chapters that you're just pushing through might end up just being flat or rushed, or, you know what I mean? Just listen to yourself. This is why I say, give yourself whatever you estimate, and I'm flinging my coffee around, whatever you estimate is the time frame you need to create an audiobook, give yourself another few days, if not a week buffer, right? So you figure out that you need about 30 days to do an audiobook. Tell the author you need 37. That way you have an extra day or two. If you just aren't feeling it at all, you're a little bit behind, the kids get sick, you get sick, whatever. You have a little bit of a buffer. And if you don't need those additional 7 days, well, so be it. Then you deliver it on time, if not earlier. But that gives you a little bit of time to be flexible and to be kind to you if you're just not feeling it. Stamina is a thing. It takes a lot more than you would think it would to produce an audiobook, right? You think you're just recording with your phone in your jammies for $100 an hour, for $400 an hour, whatever it was. Those make me so mad. Ryan says, any advice on how to overcome really bad work you did when you just didn't know how much you didn't know just beginning? Everybody's got those out there. I have those out there. everyone I know that's got some years under their belt in this industry, we all have those. Just our first projects are not going to sound great. And you just have to realize that that was then, this is now. Because I stuck with it, and I'm so much better now because I practiced a lot. Right? So don't go back and relive it then. Don't do that to yourself. Why reopen the wound if you don't have to? Right? Let that sleeping dog lie. Let's see. Looking for questions. Okay, so now I see some why we're saying no, Caesars. Ken wants to know, how do you handle run-on sentences? This is a great question because some sentences you'll find either they're super long where they could be really technically broken up into two different sentences, but maybe there's just a bunch of commas and it just goes on and on and on. Remember that punctuation is in an audiobook, punctuation in the copy is more like a guide. It's a suggestion. The spoken word is different from the written word. So if, again, the listener is not going to be following along with you. They're not going to see, oh, you missed a comma. You were supposed to pause there. No. Or there's a period there. That's the end of that sentence. No. If it feels like it could be broken up to make more sense, do it. No one's going to know the difference. It's all audible. Right? So if you need to pause for effect or to take a break or there's a breath or whatever it is, and it's not exactly where a comma or a period is, so what? As long as you're giving it your best and the performance and the intent and the purpose and the tone, all of that is right on point, but it doesn't exactly, fit the comma period of what you're seeing, who cares? Just focus on telling a great story. If you have to take a breath, take a breath. My God. Kenneth says, I'm just getting started. How do I bill a client? Okay, so I want to say I have a couple of videos on this topic. PayPal Business is what I use. There's also Wave. There's Stripe. There's QuickBooks also has a invoicing, but you want to find a invoicing vendor that you can use that's accessible or is... I chose PayPal Business, I'll just say that, because most of the freelance marketplaces use that for direct deposit and things like that. So it just makes my life easier. It's just one place for everything to go and to come out of and all that stuff. And PayPal Business also has invoicing. So it just makes it easier. But that's what I do. So you'll need some way to invoice your clients. Let's see. Tammy says, any suggestions on getting a rights holder to engage with you? I have one that is crickets. For like a finished audiobook? Or what do you mean? For a audition? If it's on ACX, you can get ACX involved. You can get customer support involved, and they can dissolve the contract. If it's for a finished audiobook, I've had a couple of those too, where they just fell off the planet. I'm really hoping that nothing happened to them, but sometimes life does get in the way. Sometimes emails don't go through. Sometimes stuff just happens, and don't take it personally, but get the platform customer support involved as much as you can, and you just gotta wait. Or if you want to try to reach out to them on their website, reach out to them directly and just say, hey, I just want to make sure you're getting my messages on ACX. I mean, do what you can do. But ultimately, you can't force them unless of course you're owed money or something. Then, I'm not legal advice at all. But I mean, that might be something to consider if you have a contract in place. Looking for questions. Chris says, I shared a demo in Discord, but can I share it with you? For what, for feedback? I mean, sure. I just to be honest with you, I'm like preparing for a vacation, so I'm super busy trying to get everything done before I go. But sure, if I have time. Let's see. Uh, Tanya's here commenting to Tammy. Yeah, if it's on ACX, keep messaging respectfully so that everything is documented. And if they don't or won't get back to you, then that's a them issue. Yeah. Let's see. Tiger Lily says self-managing my schedule and staying focused is definitely a struggle. Yes, as it was for me, but I'll tell you, getting one of those daily planners that's just like there's a box for text for each day, and then write down your priorities, things that you got to remember, like chunk out your projects. I'm recording this. If you write it all down and it's in front of your face, then it helps you to stay on top of it. Plus, there's nothing more gratifying than striking something out. It's done, right? It really helped me. See, I'm looking for questions. Let's see. Jared says the hardest part of narrating for me was my mouth noise, uncomfortable space, and having to edit so much my mouth. Stop it. Stop. Just stop worrying about your mouth noise. You probably don't need to remove half of what you're removing. It's probably not noticeable to anyone but you. There's a lot of declick effects. A lot of the DAWs, the major ones, Reaper, Adobe Audition, Studio One, Audacity. Some of them, actually, I think all of them have like a native declick of some sort that you could try to use for that. But the best one, of course, for the organic sounding mouth clicks is the one from Isotope in the RX suite of, so RX11, the suite of effects. I'm trying to think of one. What was the one, Caesar, you were talking about the other day? Velvet. There's this new one that does a myriad of things. It's just like magic and it's super cheap. We'll have to go look at that. So if you go to Isotope, izotope.com, and check out either the RX Repair Suite, or I think it was Velvet. Check those out and see if either of those work for you. Thank you, Caesar. Isotope Velvet. Yes. Let's see. Looking for questions because I got to get rolling. Let's see. Craig says, you tell him a story. I've been there, buddy. I know. Let's see. John says, whoops. I say, this shouldn't be this hard for everything in life. And 5 minutes later, I think it really was. Right? It just takes a little bit of space and a little bit of like a decompression time. Just like a minute to just go, just think it through. Right? Of course. Well, so you guys are funny. Let's see. Looking for questions because I got to go. Voiceover Lisa says a couple hours to edit a 1 hour chapter. Oh my God, I'm so... No, you're not. Stop it. No, you're not. You taking more time just means you're much more engaged. You're concerned about what you're doing. You're taking the time to get it right. Just don't allow yourself to overdo it. Don't over-process. Don't over-edit. But you're involved. You're engaged in getting a good product out to market. So that's not a bad thing. But as you go, you'll start to learn to streamline things. Or maybe there was something you were doing that you learned that you maybe didn't have to do, and it was taking you a lot of time, like airbrushing out 2,000 mouth clicks. And I mean, don't worry about your mouth clicks so much. Or your breaths. Don't remove your breaths. Don't go through and do anything to your breaths unless they're weird sounding, which is what, 2% of the breaths we take. Let's see. Tiger Lily says, on average, how many audiobooks do you find is comfortable for you to be managing at the same time? Maybe 2 or 3, but I don't work on them all at the same time. I do them back to back. Oh, for approval on ACX. You could use ACX. You could reach out to customer support. Maybe they can reach out to the client to do their thing. It could be that the author, again, maybe missed the email. If they have a website, I'd reach out to them directly and say, hey, go check out ACX. You might have missed the "this is ready for your approval" button, right? But you can't really force them. You can only lead that horse to water. Tiger Lily says, wow, even Claire Danes has allergies. That makes it yeah, it almost sounded more like she had a cold or was just getting over a cold. Like she was really nasally. And I noticed it. Maybe because I know Claire Danes. I'm Gen X. Claire Danes was in everything for like the span of 10 years. And I know what her voice sounds like. And immediately I was like, there's something wrong there. But then, like 2 or 3 chapters in, she was back to normal. Let's see. Looking for questions. I have a story says, can you tell YouTube that for me, they keep thinking I'm AI? Interesting. Yeah, that's just something that's going on right now. With as far as cleaning house of what they consider to be AI slop, but I don't know what they're using other than AI to determine what is and what isn't. And I think it's a little skosh overzealous. Just a little skosh. Skosh. The eucalyptus as well. Oh, for the throat coat. Yes. I haven't tried it. I've only tried the original, and I'm not a huge fan of black licorice flavor. But I drink it anyway because it works. It does what I'm asking it to do. So I'm definitely going to try the eucalyptus. Let's see. Nia says, I hope I'm saying that right. Do you read the whole book and make notes prior to recording? You can, absolutely. There are some people who could do cold reads, and it's really going to depend on if it's fiction or nonfiction. Most nonfiction, you can probably get away with just skimming through and looking up pronunciations and things. But for fiction, I would recommend, yes, do that, because the best example I always give is you don't want to find out in chapter 5 that the main character has a Scottish accent, and now you got to go back and re-record it. So at least skim through it and make notes. Yes. Let's see. Ren says, Launchpad made me feel very welcome and even comfortable enough to read on my first day. Yeah, you did. Such a great and welcoming group. Looking forward to the next one. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, here come the roosters. All right, you guys. No, Caesar. You know what you started. Caesar. Oh, about my hair, yeah. Emmeline says, depends on the cat, probably. I love recording the cat's purrs. I use then some ASMR. People love the animals. If you have animals in your booth or something. Yeah, people like that stuff. I'm trying to look through. Here's a good one. Michaela says, positron seems so nice, but looking into how much it costs. How do people afford these things? Just with, like if you have a bunch of books in queue, it definitely does free up time for you. But it's that old adage, you can't make coin without spending coin, right? It's an investment, especially if you have a business that you're running, this is how you should treat this, is like a business. You have to invest in tools and software, and and if you're an LLC or a sole proprietor or whatever, that's right off at tax time anyway. But you do have to invest in some tools if they're necessary. All right, for those of you going, bye. Thanks for coming in. I do have to get going too. We're like way over time again. Let's see. I'm just looking for questions. You guys are all talking to each other. Ryan says, where's a good place to get feedback on demos and other files that not expensive or scam bait? My Facebook group, the VO Workshop on Facebook, I allow people to post demos for feedback. Or if you're in Launchpad, we have a whole Discord, and there is a thread that says, give me feedback, and you can have the other, 200 and something members potentially give you feedback on your demo. Becca says, Launchpad. Seriously, you can post things for feedback and we all help out. There you go. There you go. Chris says, do you record each chapter separately and keep them saved as separate files too? Yes. Yes. Because an audiobook every file is separate. So you might as well record it that way and keep it that way because it has to be uploaded that way. If you use the table of contents as a guide, that would really help. Because most times there's a dedication, an introduction, a preface even, and then there's chapter 1, and then there's, if you use a table of contents to break down each file or to start each file, then that will definitely help. Let's see. Like that Spider-Man pointing at each other, yes. Is there a tea that tastes like Jägermeister? I don't think so. Well, maybe. You guys are funny. Okay. Yes. You got to get hooked up, Craig. Well, welcome. Welcome to the group, Ryan. All right, you guys, I have got to get going. There's so much to do. Thank you. I look forward to it. All right, you guys, I got to go. For those of you in Launchpad, there is no Launchpad this weekend because, again, I will be on vacation, which I haven't had one in just about 6 years at this point. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. But if you are in Launchpad, I'm sure there will be updates in Discord if somebody else is going to do something on the side or in lieu of something like that. But officially, no Launchpad class. Otherwise, I will see you guys. Actually, you know what? We're doing, Anthony, Gabby, and I are doing something tomorrow night on YouTube, I believe, at 6 p.m. my time. So that would be 8 EST. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. Otherwise, I will see you guys on next Tuesday live. You guys take care. Bye.